Welcome to Tanakh Talk. I'm your host, William Hall, broadcasting live from Kingsland, Texas, USA, with another episode of TNT, the Twisted New Testament. Tonight's topic, Jews and Christians, two different peoples with completely different assumptions and concerns, with Rabbi Stuart, the man Federow from the Big Age. Welcome back, Rabbi. How are you, sir?
Be back. Great to be back.
Yes, indeed.
As a mate de facto.
Very
so,
good.
what are you up to? What's new? What's exciting? What's happening?
Oh, it's exciting to be back in the studio for sure. It's been anytime I miss a week, it's always a little bit of offset for me because it's part of my normal routine, just like it is y'all's. And when you pull that out, it's like it gets filled with something else less holy. So sometimes
hi,
it's...
Devin. Hi, Mina. I haven't seen you in a long time.
So yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to be back. I'm actually setting up I'm trying to set up a second setup that I can take on the road with me. So if we ever do go out of town, I can actually not have to miss anything. We can actually do a live show on the road even when I'm traveling. So, and that would be kind of fun.
Absolutely not.
What?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
When you take a vacation, you need to vacation. You need to get away from it.
Well, look, here's the scenario.
Bring it with you, William. I'm thinking about you and your family.
And
if you take it with you, it's not a vacation.
Okay, so
vacation is your mind completely off of everything.
Gotcha. Okay, so what I'll do then is I will make sure that on the two primary times when we go see family in April and September, that I won't take it there. But if I have to leave, like for example, my brother just told me that him and his wife paid for a hotel for 4 days for them and us in Galveston. But I just took off last weekend, and I'm like, I can't take off again. I've got to keep these shows going. And so I said, well, if I can get this other setup on one of these type of scenarios, then I can still do my shows and nobody misses out, and I can still be, on the road if I need to.
If you're on vacation, you're on vacation. If you're going somewhere to work, okay, do construction, do whatever. But if you're going to be on a vacation, you've got to be on a vacation. It doesn't do your head any good
True.
If you're still...
Yeah, true that. Devin asked a good question. The question was, why don't you pre-record stuff to release when you go on vacation? Good point. The only problem is scheduling. The schedule that we have with pretty much all the rabbis is such a tight schedule, not really for me so much as it is them now. But it's such a tight schedule. It's about the only time I can actually do the recordings, period. So even if it was pre-recorded, I would still have to record it around the same times that we actually do the live recording. So, but anyway, cool. I have a guest host. Raymond, that's not possible, man. Because all of my software is here and everything. The show that I do is a really super high production, and the shows you see on YouTube with other people who does this similar type thing, they pretty much use their cell phone or just a computer and a camera, and so there would be no way to integrate all my software into someone doing it remotely. But I appreciate the idea, though. It's pretty cool. So, all right. Well, Rabbi, let's get right off into this thing then, and we'll see where we're headed.
All right. I'll talk about it at the end, whenever we end with this topic.
Okay.
But this is purely based on a Kindle book, okay, by a professor of mine that I had when I was an undergraduate. And I'll tell you all about it when we finish up, okay? Basically, his concept is that Jews and Christians, okay, let me get it right, Jews and Christians are different people that have that make different assumptions, that have different concerns, that are talking to different people about different issues. In other words, it's not even so much that we are two ships passing in the night. It's that Jews and Christians aren't even in the same ocean.
Right.
Okay. It's not that we just don't even know each other and we're, passing. It's like we're not even in the same ocean. Okay. And we can pull all of the biblical verses, but people already know this already. I'm just trying to make it more concrete. Okay. So, let's get to it.
Okay.
All right. Jews and Christians are different people. What makes us different? Okay. We Jews are either descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or We have converted to the faith of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, Moses, the prophets, the rabbis, okay, as it's been for approximately, give or take, 3,700, let's round it up to 4,000 years. Okay, that's the Jewish people. And basically, Christianity is, well, it depends on what part of the world you're living in, everybody else. Okay, Gentiles, non-Jews are everybody else. But specifically, we're talking about Christians, and Christians are Gentiles. They are not descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And if they once were, they've converted out. So the point is that we're different people. Okay, and as such, we have different cultures, different societies, plural. We have different things that make up our peoplehood. Okay, and part of that difference between the Jews and the Christian community are the different assumptions. And William, remember, this is a give and take.
Okay.
All right.
Gotcha.
So what assumptions do Jews make that are different from the assumptions that Christians make?
Where do you start?
Well, exactly. There's so many of them.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much everything.
So,
I just had a conversation, Rabbi. A guy came to the studio today, one I'd never known. I'm still not sure where he got my address at, probably off of an old video, because I basically took my address down from the websites and everything else because I just had random people would show up at the house, and it kind of freaked me out. And so this guy shows up, and I was like, I didn't know what to think. And he come to find out he was a Tanakh Talk follower recently, just literally probably this last month. He was a Jehovah's Witness, and he went into a Seventh-day Adventist and started doing all the studies. And he said he was an older guy, and he was telling me all this stuff. He goes, I'm about ready to just call it atheism and just walk away. And then we got into this concept about, so many differences, like everything is different with Christianity and Judaism, and even with these others and stuff like that. So this is a very fresh topic for me too. So I'm glad you actually called it tonight.
Well, I just had a conversation too with someone on Facebook, and it's like talking to somebody from a different planet in a different language. Mm-hmm. It's like there's just no basis to talk to each other. And when it comes down to it, okay, for two people to have a discussion or an argument or debate or whatever, there are certain elements that have to be in common,
mm-hmm. Right?
Or else there's nothing to discuss. Okay, I can discuss with someone who's Jewish where my congregation stands up and where we stay seated. Mm-hmm. Because the service is the same, okay? But I can't discuss with someone how I take communion because we don't do it. Right. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
There's got to be some elements that overlap to even have a discussion about something or a debate or argument.
I would say you mentioned this one time, and this isn't the example you used, but it triggered my memory to come up with this particular example. It's the difference between describing a restaurant versus a shoe store. They're like, the only thing that's the same is they're both a store. Stores. And they both have economics involved.
Right.
Everything else is like completely different.
And what are look, I'll tell you another example, which I'm really getting sick of hearing. Okay. How Christians always talk about, it's a broken world. I'm a broken person. It's a broken world. Okay. Everything's wrong. Everything's been destroyed. Ever since Adam and Eve, we just, can't measure up. And that's an assumption of Christianity that Jews don't make, that Judaism doesn't make. Okay, they'll say, I'm a broken person. Okay, I'm a sinner. Well, Judaism says, yes, you sin, but yes, you also do good things too. You want to emphasize or blind yourself to the good in yourself and the good in people, then all you're going to see is the mistakes you make and the sins you commit and the negativity. And Judaism doesn't look at the world that way. We look at the world as a gift from God. Okay, life is a gift. And another element is, which we don't have to beat a dead horse, okay, but it's a broken world. Why? Christians will say because of original sin. Sin was brought into the world. Okay, that's not how Judaism looks at it. Or how about the view of law? Okay, Judaism views law as a good thing. That God gave us the laws because God wants us to have a better life. And, why do you have laws in the first place? It's to make society run better.
Right.
Okay, so there's tons of assumptions that we make that they don't make. They make, in some ways, the exact opposite assumption.
David said, thy rod and thy staff that comfort me. And I think Christians want to just hang on to the staff and get rid of the rod altogether, meaning laws and disciplinary factors that go along with it.
I think they hold on to the rod and get rid of the staff.
No, staff is a protection. The rod is for discipline, right?
Right, and they get rid of Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Right.
They concentrate on the need for the rod, okay, and yes, okay, I got you. All right, fine. All right, yes. Okay, so different people, okay, Jews, descendants from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, were converted into the Jewish people, okay, as opposed to everybody else, but specifically we're talking about Christians. Remember also that I forgot to say this, Judaism doesn't believe in grafted in. That's a totally purely Christian concept that Judaism rejects. Okay, we make different assumptions on a plethora of things. Okay, Judaism believes that the world is good, okay, and that we can make the world better. We can improve the world. We can improve ourselves. Okay, I can choose to be good like I can choose to be bad. Okay, we reject our assumption is that the world is not in sin, okay, guilty because of a sin committed by an ancestor, Adam and Eve, Deuteronomy 24:16, which, we don't have to beat a dead horse. Our view of law is that law is a good thing, makes the world run smoother, okay. The assumption that God is one. We assume that God is one. And, we've told this joke before, but there's a joke that says that a Jew who is an atheist is still a monotheist. A Jew who is an atheist is still a monotheist. Because even though he says God does not exist, the concept of God that he is rejecting is still God is one, indivisible, and unique. It's still the Jewish concept that he's not even considering Trinity. That's not even on his radar. Okay, when he says God does not exist, the concept of God that he's rejecting is still Judaism's strict monotheism. Okay, so these are the assumptions that Judaism makes. Okay, so we're different people that have different assumptions, and we have different concerns. What are our different concerns? What is Judaism really concerned with? Okay, what are our concerns in the world? Okay, and this, by the way, will tie into different issues, which is the end part of the concept. We are different people with different assumptions and different concerns, talking to different people about different issues. That's the premise of our discussion tonight. Okay, so what are our concerns? What is Judaism completely concerned with? Still there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, what is Judaism? What would you say Judaism is totally concerned with?
Probably Tikkun Olam, I would say. No? Not repairing the world, not trying to do the right thing and trying to usher in Mashiach?
No, but that's only a small part of it.
Okay.
So if you were going to take that concept and put it underneath a larger umbrella concept, what would the larger concept be? Why do we have to improve the world? Why do we have to have Tikkun Olam b'Malchut Shaddai? Why do we have to have repairing the world, fixing the world through the rule of God?
I'm sure you have a custom answer for that, so might as well tell me.
Yeah, I know. You're busy with your dials. Okay, fine. Okay. It's because we were having a relationship with God. Our concern, Judaism's concern, the Bible's concern, is our relationship with God. Is how do we connect with God? And by connecting with God, how do we connect with everything else in God's creation? We have to have a relationship with a connection to the Creator, and we also have to have a relationship with, a connection to creation. That's what Judaism's concern is. Okay, if it's different people with different assumptions, with different concerns, what's Christianity's concern? Almost entirely. It's almost totally consuming of the Christian person. That's a question.
Oh, say the question again. Sorry.
I'm asking, what is, if our concern is our relationship with God, our connection to God, and our connection to God's creation, okay, what is the concern of Christianity? Almost totally consuming Christianity.
It's basically fire insurance, if you want to call it that.
Meaning what?
Meaning get out of hell free card. I know it sounds bad. But it's not even so much that, it's more of how to avoid hell. I mean, most of Christianity has got such built on fear tactics and scaring people into.
Absolutely,
so
no question.
It's fire insurance.
No question. But Judaism concern is this life, this world. In this world, to have a relationship with God. In this world, to have a relationship with other human beings. Okay,
right.
And we're more when we get to the issues part. Okay, so it's different people, descendants of Adam and Eve, descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, all the way through the rabbis, people who convert to Judaism, join in, okay, with different assumptions, our worldview, okay, having different concerns, and that's a relationship, okay. Speaking to different people. Who does Judaism speak to?
Themselves. They teach them.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Although we may have an argument on whether we should now or not.
Right.
Okay. Judaism for 2,000 years has suppressed its missionary zeal. Okay. We're not missionaries. We're not known to missionize the world. When we are having a discussion with other people, we're usually having that discussion with people in our own group, not those outside of it. Okay, this, by the way, is not always a good thing. Okay, if people think that all we talk about, start over. If people outside of our group think that the only people we talk to are those inside of our group, they begin to distrust us. Okay, they begin to think, well, you don't care about me, you only care about yourselves, which is totally far from the truth. Okay, so, if we don't become part of the world and try to change the world, we talked earlier, minutes ago, about Tikkun Olam Malchut Shaddai, repairing, fixing the world through the rule of God. It's the rest of the world, not just ourselves, but the rest of the world that we're repairing. Okay, but by and large, when Judaism speaks, it speaks to our own Jewish people. Christianity, who do they speak to?
Their whole mission is to save the world.
Right. They're once you're saved, they leave you and go on to the next victim, the next target, the next person, their object of their missionary zeal. Okay. So it's, again, different people. Jews, descendants from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, are converted to the people. Different assumptions. Okay, the world's a good place, no original sin, law is good, God is one. All these things that we already know about that have different concerns. Our concerns are how to have a relationship with God. Their concerns are how to get to heaven or how to avoid hell. Okay, speaking to different people. Okay, they missionize, they go out. Okay, we stay within. All right, and talking about different issues. Okay, if Judaism's concern is our relationship with God and our connection with God and our relationship and connection with creation, how does that get expressed? How does that concern for God and our relationship with God and creation and our relationship with creation, how does that get expressed? Okay, and the way in which it gets expressed, these are our issues, is a new invention, a new kind of food, a plant is discovered. Well, that's not a good idea. That's not a good example. Okay. A new machine, okay, to manufacture food is invented. Okay. Like when they invented the microwave.
Right.
Okay. So the issue to us is, how do we deal with that? Okay. In terms of our relationship with God, in terms of, for example, keeping kosher. So we're going to take our concerns, okay, which is our relationship with God and other people, and we're going to make that the expression through dealing with our issues. Our issues are, what has God commanded us, and how do we do those commandments in the real world? How do we express those in reality? Okay, write them on the doorposts of your house, okay, Deuteronomy 6, okay, write them on the doorposts of your house. Our issue is going to be a discussion on how do we do that, writing them on the doorposts of the house, on our doorposts. Mm-hmm. Okay? But what are the issues of Christianity? The issues of Christianity are not the same as Judaism's issues.
Right.
They are issues of their concerns, mm-hmm. of how do you go about missionizing the world? Okay, there's a whole section of Christian education called missology, the study of being a missionary. Okay, there are books on how to be a missionary, on expanding, enlarging your church. Okay, I don't think I've ever really seen a book. That's not true. Maybe in the last 10 years, okay, with the fear of synagogues getting smaller and smaller, okay, and membership decreasing because just our society, okay, but up until very recently, there have been no books on how to make yourself a mega church. I'm sorry, make yourself a mega synagogue.
Right.
Okay, if mega synagogues develop and grow, that's one thing, but I don't know of a whole systematic approach on making mega synagogues. Okay, there are books on retaining membership, okay, and how to make synagogue life relevant to the average person out there, and how to, become relevant and all that stuff. But that's really a very recent concept. Okay. So we are different people with different assumptions that have different concerns, talking to different people about different issues. Okay. In a nutshell, that's it. That's what I want to discuss tonight.
Very
okay.
Good. Yep.
Now, I want to tell you of where all this comes from. And that is a book by my professor in undergrad, okay, at Brown University. His name is Jacob Nusner. It is a Kindle book. I think that's the only form you can find it in. Okay, it's called Christianity and Judaism, Two Faiths Talking About Different Things. Christianity and Judaism, Two Faiths Talking About Different Things by Jacob Nusner. And it's derived from that book, actually just probably the first 10 pages or something.
And the name of that book is what again?
Christianity and Judaism, Two Faiths Talking About Different Things.
Gotcha. Okay. Right. Gotcha.
Okay. So, let's see. Wait a minute. Can you see it?
Not yet. Do a share screen?
I tried to, but I guess
try it one more time.
Guess I didn't work. Christianity and Judaism, Two Faiths Talking About Different Things by Jacob Nusner. And it's a Kindle.
Okay.
Didn't work, did it?
All
right. I tried.
We'll figure it out. So, okay.
Yeah, well, whatever. Okay.
I think you pulled it up on the screen, but you did it without sharing. There. Now pull it up again.
Okay, how's this?
That's it right there. Yep, I see it.
Yay! I am becoming computer literate.
Okay.
Christianity and Judaism, Two Faiths Talking About Different Things by Jacob Nusner, and it's a Kindle, as you see, up on top. Okay?
Got it. Very good. All right, now you can stop sharing screen.
Well, wait a minute. I have to. Where to go? Skype. Okay, and stop sharing. Did that work?
That worked. You're back.
I am computer literate.
I love it. Very good.
All right. So, at any rate, that's what I had for tonight. Different people with different assumptions, having different concerns, talking to different people about different issues. And it really describes us quite well.
So to summarize the entire thing, we've got the Hebrew Scriptures, Christians call it the Old Testament, and most of them don't even know what it says. They think it does nothing but prophesy about a Messiah. And then they take all their stuff and they build this whole new doctrine based on what they misunderstand in the Old Testament. And so they've got this whole agenda that's based on fiction, based on misunderstandings. The Hebrew Scriptures, a.k.a. Old Testament, the Jewish people, they know what it says, and they're living out what it says, which is completely different than what the New Testament, the Christian New Testament says. And so that's in a nutshell.
Pretty much. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in a nutshell, the New Testament disagrees so much with Judaism. Paul calls Jewish law the basis of Judaism, a curse, something that only exists to tell us that we can't keep the law, to make us understand we need Jesus, to die for our sins, to save us from the sins we commit by disobeying the law. The whole attitude's just radically different. And that's basically what we're saying. Two different people with completely different assumptions and concerns, talking to different people about different issues.
Hey, Matthew. Matthew says, but do the discussions on law or how things affect us, does that then take, hold on, just scrolled. Does that then take away from bringing light to the world?
Oh, no, it's how we bring, well, that's just it. How are we supposed to bring light to the world? By being the best we can to attract people to God and to Judaism. And not necessarily Judaism specifically, but at least, at minimum, really minimum, B'nai Noach maybe. Okay, but how do we bring the light to the nations? You know, some would say we're supposed to be outwardly, openly missionizing. Okay, not many, but there are some. But most people would say that the way in which we bring light to the nations is by being who we're supposed to be in relationship with God and letting the world see the light that comes from from Judaism and Jewish people.
You know, here's the way I kind of visualized it recently. You know, the Jews are to be a light to the nations, and they are. They keep their light contained inside of a glass vase, what you would call a lantern, and that way it emits light where people can see it. Christians have a different philosophy. They want to take the fire from that light and burn the ground with it, so it's like it's forcefully overcoming everything in its path, right? Right. And that's the destructive light, and that's the big difference there.
Yeah, that's light of fire. And then they make you afraid of the fire because you'll burn in hell for it.
Right. Okay, so another question, Andrea, thank you, and Larry for pointing that out. JUAD, I don't know how to pronounce it, so I won't try, would like to ask, how can we refute that the humans were born with a sinful nature, considering a verse in Psalm that says King David was born in sin?
So because King David might have been born in sin, that means every single human being on planet Earth is born in sin.
There you go. Next question.
Okay, no, seriously.
No, that's a great answer. Yeah.
King David also wrote. I'm pretty sure it's 22. Come on. Hello. My computer's just so incredibly slow.
Okay. But that's a great answer, though. I mean,
hit the wrong button.
Right.
But I think it's Psalm 22 where King David says, I can't remember how it's worded. I am an insect. No, I'm a worm. He says, I'm a worm. Right. So because King David said, I'm a worm, that means all human beings are actually worms and not humans.
Right.
Just because an individual psalmist, makes a statement, does that mean that we're all supposed to be, let's see, but I am a worm and not a man, a reproach of men and despised of the people. Psalm 22:6. So that means every human being on earth is really not a human being. We're all worms because, hey, it's in the Psalms.
Right.
Okay. Where'd he go? T-Bad writes, is Christianity religion approved by God Almighty? In other words, does God approve of Christianity? Well, I would argue the following. many people in the rabbinic Judaism, many of the rabbis say that the purpose of Christianity is to acquaint people with what the Bible Judaism's Bible has to say, to acquaint them with it so that they will eventually come to it, okay, or take it seriously, or take God seriously. So their introduction to Judaism and the idea of God may be through Christianity, and that's a good thing. I would argue also that, yeah, there's some stuff that overlaps between Christianity and Judaism. We believe our concept of God, the Christian concept of God, I'm talking Trinity, is that God can know Stuart Federow. That God can know Stuart Federow, and in my very teeny tiny limited human way, I can at least somewhat get to know God, and I can have a relationship with God. Okay, Christians also say the same thing. We believe that God is moral and ethical and good and kind and compassionate. So does Christianity. Okay, we believe God is not human. Okay, God is separate. God is holy. God is above and outside of nature. So there are characteristics that overlap between Judaism and Christianity, and where they overlap, I would say, yeah, God is pretty pleased by what Christianity can do. But Christianity is not Judaism, and it holds ideas that are not monotheism, that are contrary to our morality and ethics. Okay, it's not just, not just theology where we differ, it's also in terms of morality and ethics too. Mm-hmm. So where it overlaps with Judaism, the old saying, in the New Testament, if it's good, it's not new, and if it's new, it's not good. Okay, so there's still some good, it's not new.
Right.
Because they get it from Judaism. So is the Christianity religion approved by God? It also depends on which form of Christian religion. Not all Christianities are alike.
Right.
They're different Christians, different kinds of Christianity. So, there's liberal Christianity and there's conservative Christianity, just like there's liberal Jews and there are conservative Jews politically. So, it's not all one bag. You got to take it on a case-by-case basis. So that would be my answer to him.
Gotcha. Very good.
Yep. Okay. Let's see. Yes, show William some love. buymeacoffee.com/TanakTalk. Good idea. Thank you, Andrea. Let's see.
Thank you, Andrea. I think somebody did. I heard a ding, and I think that's probably what that was. Somebody probably brought me a coffee. Thank you. Appreciate that. And it's not an actual coffee. It's just a different way of looking at giving donations.
Okay. Mr. White says Christians assume that there is no atonement for sins without the shedding of blood. Again, that goes to our assumptions. Okay, you're right. Totally right. We never believed that. The Bible never believed that. Okay, you have to have blood shed in order to get forgiveness or atonement. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see.
I'm still trying to read along as well.
Yep.
If you guys have any questions, just put them in the chat there and just tag Tanakh Talk. Yeah, Larry, thanks. I still haven't ordered the black ones yet. Larry Beck brought the Tanakh Talk hats up. I need.
See, I think I would order the black ones because people seem to be waiting for them.
Gotcha. Right.
You don't have to get 100,000 at a time.
Right.
But okay.
Right.
No, Janice, I have been coughing. I just turn off the volume.
Smart.
But thank you, Janice. Thank you. Let's see. Devin, thank you. I am better. You're right. Okay. I am getting better, but still got the bronchitis and I still got the cough. So let's see. Janice, I agree. I know a lot of people. I've got 2 people right now. They're not kids anymore, but they grew up in my congregation who are making Aliyah. Okay, and I have to write I'm their rabbi and I know them and all that kind of stuff. But when you're young and starting out, it's not. It can be done more easily than when you're an old man like me. And you're right; it can be very expensive. So let's see. How can we refute that the humans were born with a sinful nature, considering that King David? Yeah, we did that already.
Yeah, we already got that.
Let's see.
Okay, here we go. What did the
Afterburner software? Oh my God! I hope that didn't come from us.
What do the Jewish people think about the traditional dates of? I just scrolled. Love when it does that. Traditional dates of the Bible in Rashi's perspective. It is completely different than the raw Radias you read.
No idea. I think the vast majority of Jews, to answer your question, really have no idea, okay, about the difference between this dating and that dating. They have a basic idea, okay? So about the year 900 to 1000 BCE, you've got King David, okay? About 1450, you've got Moses. About 1700, you got Abraham, give or take, okay? Very vague, basic idea. It's like most people don't really know history, any history. They don't know their own history, their American history.
David Solomon is a good Jewish historian. He actually mentioned about the discrepancies in the dates, for what could be and what might be. And there's a heavier opinion on which one is which. I just don't remember what the numbers were. So, but you can find him at, I think it's in1hour.net, INONEHOUR.net. He'll be on the show actually in August sometime.
Who is this?
David Solomon.
Cool.
So
let's see. No, iRobot. How does the Holy Spirit of Christianity compare with Judaism's teaching? Are they the same? No, they're not. Okay. The Hebrew doesn't say Holy Spirit. It says the Spirit of holiness. Holiness is a noun. Okay. And the Spirit is communion with God. It's not an entity different from God. It's a way in which God reveals God's will to human beings, like through prophecy. Okay. So when, what's his name? Can't think of his name. It could be in the Psalms. He says, don't take your spirit of holiness away from me. He's talking about his ability to prophesy.
Oh.
But it's not an entity separate unto itself, different from God, but somehow one and the same as God. That's very Christian. Let's see. Yep. Well, Michael Arlen, I think it's more like 200 years.
It'll be Psalm 51:11. If you want to look that
up. Psalm, what was it?
51:11.
51:11. Right. Thank you. Cast me not away from your presence and take not your Holy Spirit. But if I remember correctly, even here, come on. Why is my computer so incredibly slow? Okay. Okay, that's the spirit of your holiness, not your Holy Spirit. Kodesh is a noun, not an adjective. It's not Holy Spirit, it's spirit of holiness. Okay.
Nice.
So, at any rate, let's go back to English. Yeah, okay. And let's see. Yeah, see, but that's, Larry, that's 500 years. Okay, you got the Reformation in the 1500s. Okay, 1540s, I think, 1520s, something like that, is Martin Luther. Okay, somewhere around there. Well, that's not, and then you've got the offshoots from them. You've got Zwingli and his group. You've got Calvin in Switzerland. That's, I think, mainly 1500s. So it's more than 100 years is my point. It's a minor point. It's a minor point. Okay, the evangelical Christianity really only comes from very modern period. So, anyway. Yeah. All right. Hey, if you want to end early, we can end early. You know, there's no.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know,
good wrap. So, meanwhile, you guys, if y'all have any ideas for topics, be sure to let us know. You can send us an email, Talk questions at Gmail, or you can send Rabbi a message, a direct message, or same for me on Facebook, and we will try to track it down. So, but yeah. Anyway, well, Rabbi, I hope you can enjoy your rest of your night. With less talking means less coughing for you right now. So
No, I'm fine. I'm okay.
good deal.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Baptists from Dutch separatists and English separatists. You want to talk about history? Remember that the Mayflower and the Thanksgiving and all that came over here for religious freedom and then didn't give it to anybody else but themselves. So that's why that the different kind of Christianity had to leave what is now called Massachusetts and go and found the state called Rhode Island, because the Christianity of Massachusetts and the Mayflower people wouldn't accept his form of Christianity. He had to flee.
Wow.
People kind of neglect that.
That's interesting.
Okay. Yep.
All right.
In the 1600s, about the time that Oliver Cromwell either came to office or went out of office, I can't remember which is which, there was a man who was Jewish, a physician, who made a statement publicly that Jesus wasn't the Messiah, for which he was brought up to court and found guilty and sentenced to death.
Golly. Wow.
But before he died, Oliver Cromwell either died in office or he came into office, and all the people on death row in all of the colonies were forgiven, freed.
Wow.
So he wound up not being put to death.
Wow.
Lombroso, I think his name was.
Interesting.
Yeah. I love these little tidbits of history.
All right, Rabbi. Well, I guess we'll let you guys go for now. Y'all have a great night, and we will see you on the other side. There's some other counter-missionary work on your screen right now. Rabbi Federow's, of course, Judaism and Christianity, a nice little pack of dynamite. Revealing Matthew's Secrets by James Wood Jr. and Leaving Jesus by Revealing Matthew's Secrets by Jason LaCrosse and Leaving Jesus by James Wood Jr. And, of course, Rabbi Tovia Singer's 2-volume book set where the CDs are no longer available, but you can still get the audio files at the website. So you guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.
חשוב מכל חשוב והכרחי להיות ביחד